So I'm sitting here with Margaret Klinger, and it's April 2nd. We're at Oakes Good Sam, and we're just starting our interview. Could you tell me about your birthplace?
I can't tell you because it was in Ohio, near Cleveland, but my family moved away very shortly after.
Okay.
So I have no memory of that.
So where are your childhood memories at?
New Jersey and Pennsylvania. The early childhood was in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, and then the grade schooling was in Pennsylvania. But it wasn't until I was 12 that we moved to Philadelphia, and a lot of my life was there. In Philadelphia, I went to high school and was married there. And we had a small house, rented house, that cost us $23 a month. And it was there that we had some fond memories.
What was your family like?
My family, my mother was old German. My father was Scotch-Irish. My father never went beyond the 5th grade in school, and my mother didn't go beyond the 8th grade in school. But they were hard-working people and taught us right from wrong, of course.
Was it important for them? Was it important to them that you and your brothers and sisters went to school?
Oh, yes. Yes, we went to school.
How many siblings did you have?
Anyway.
How many siblings, brothers and sisters, did you have?
2 sisters and 1 brother.
Were you the oldest child?
I was the youngest.
The youngest.
So I think I was spoiled more than the others.
And you've said longevity, long life, was common in your family?
Yes.
Did your brothers and sisters live a long life too?
My oldest sister lived to be 103. My brother lived to be 90. And my other sister lived to be 92. So, none of us seem to have those problems that people have nowadays. I don't know, they're always going for surgeries. We never thought about going to the doctor for anything except whooping cough or something like that. I guess we were just fortunate. But we had good years growing up. In Philadelphia, where we moved first, we lived across the street from the Connie Mack Stadium baseball, and we were able to watch the games from our bedroom window. Of course, they had a fence across the street, but we could look over the fence and watch all the games. And so my friends would come and we'd sit in the bedroom and watch all the baseball games of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and all those old-timers. That was exciting. But then we all went to the same church. And we're in the choir. I don't know how well we were singing, but we were there. And we played games in the church basement, shuffleboard and volleyball and those sort of things that you can play indoors. So it was kind of a happy time. But then the Great Depression came on, and it wasn't happy for anybody. First, the furniture factory closed where my father worked, and we had to go and live with relatives. I lived with my sister in New Jersey for a while, and it was tough on everybody. But then there was a happier note in that my friend Paul Klinger kept coming around. And I lived in New Jersey and he lived in Philadelphia. But he would cross that bridge over the Delaware River that cost 25 cents to go over and 25 cents to come back. But he would borrow his father's car and come over every weekend. And we would go for rides, and then we would sit at home and play board games and things like that. But after 2 years, then we decided to be married and rented this house. It was a row house, all the houses together. The walls were together in the whole block. But we had good neighbors. Italian neighbors, German neighbors, Scotch neighbors. Yes. They were all very good. So then we were married and had our first child 2 years later. Unfortunately, our oldest child was afflicted with a brain problem, and she would, for the rest of her life, she would have problems where she would black out, and no matter where she was in church or on the street or in somebody's house, the neighbors would always bring her home, take care of her. So she was afflicted that way until she passed away at the age of 73. I'd have to verify ages, and I can't keep them in my head. Our second daughter was a bright girl. She was always trying new things. And she was a good daughter, but very hard to understand. She always wanted to do something different from anybody else. And she's still that way. At 72, she still wants to go off and do something different. Our third child, Bryce, he kept telling people that he was named for a hole in the ground, and that was Bryce Canyon in Utah, because Paul and I loved Bryce Canyon so much we kept going back there for vacations. And Bryce still goes back there for vacation too. But at the time, he was the only one named Bryce we ever heard of. Now there are quite a number of Bryces. But of course, he was drafted, sent off to Vietnam. And that was very hard to see him go. He was married by that time. But he went through quite a few bad situations in Vietnam and came through without too much trouble. He didn't seem to have any of those brain problems that so many veterans have. And up to now, he's the most supportive of our children, living closer. He's able to come over. If I had it to do over again, I don't think I would change anything. I had such a good marriage. If I did something wrong, like dent the fender in the car, why Paul would say, "Don't bother, I'll just go get it fixed." He was always supportive of me.
That's not something that you see very often anymore.
Yeah. So we were married for 62 years, I think it was. And now we have this facility to take care of us. We're comfortable and most of the time get food that we like. And friends come to visit, so we're not out of this world. We're very much in it.
So where does you said you had 2 daughters, and one has passed away. Where does your second daughter live?
She's the one that lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And she's a nurse.
Yeah.
And she's still working at 72?
She is. And I don't know why the state of New Mexico keeps them on them that many years. But she still has a class. It's composed of all different types of people, like Indians of the Southwest, or black people, or she even had a Chinese student one year. I don't know how they congregate like that, but I guess in a city like Albuquerque, there are all kinds of people.
So I see you have your journals over here in your case. Have you journaled your entire life?
I didn't start them till I was 17. But from then on, I have kept them every year. But now there isn't much to put in, except Dane comes to visit.
Well, there's a lot of history in those journals, I'm sure.
I was telling you yesterday about the baby from Thailand. And over there is an envelope with the latest letter from Dr. Amporn. And see, the stamp is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Elephants. So this was when I turned 100, yes, 2014. When I turned 100, then she wrote this letter to congratulate me, and I haven't heard from them since then. She was having problems and going to the hospital and going to doctors. So I'm afraid she may have passed away. And I was hoping that someday that little baby, who is now 50 years old, might look me up, but I don't suppose he will, because he never learned English to communicate with.
Mm-hmm.
But she said he was an officer in the King's Guard anyway. I don't know what the King's Guard is. But when we had this baby, only for 3 months, the doctors paid for his medicine and formula and gave me $4 a day for taking care of him. So it wasn't really anything on my part. It was just a back and forth convenience. So I always follow the news of Thailand. Right now, they don't seem to be in any trouble. Most of the world is having trouble. Even our own country can't settle down. maybe it will be better for you as you grow older. I hope so. You and your brother will find it much easier to get by. In those diaries, lots of prices of things. Like gas was 40 cents in one part, and now what is it?
$2.39 the last time I filled up.
I don't know if the world is a better place or not. It's certainly better than some of the times we experienced. But all in all, I've had a good life. And was it 1984, I think, that the Oakes Lions put my name in for Mother of the Year, and for some reason I was chosen.
I remember that. I've seen that article about you in the paper.
And they sent me to New York, and that was quite an experience to be with a Mother of the Year from every state in the Union. That was interesting. And we had a big session there with floodlights and so on as we marched in on the arm of a Coast Guardsman. Every year they have some either Navy or Army attendant to march people in. But the Mother of the Year for North Dakota this year, the candidates were all from Bismarck. That seemed strange, that they wouldn't be someone from out beyond Bismarck that would qualify. I don't know why I was qualified, except that the judges maybe liked that little story about taking in a baby from the Thai people. Most of the contestants that year were teachers or nurses or having some vocation. And I didn't do anything except sit in the office and type letters for business. I got a wristwatch given to me by the seed company for 25 years office work for them. I still have the wristwatch, but I don't wear it. So that was a little bit of giving. Of my time. I spent quite a lot of time with church work. I used to have arguments with Dr. Van Houten over certain things that we were supposed to talk about. Then I will have to go back the next day and apologize to him And he was always gracious about it.
So what would you say has been the biggest change you've seen throughout your life?
I don't know. Every generation comes up against change. And now this latest change is all the things that I don't understand and never will be able to comprehend. But that's all right. The world has to go on. I'm just happy that I have family and friends. It was a big loss to lose my husband. He had that heart attack without any notice. And it's a mystery why I'm still here.
You must have important work to do here yet.
I'm not important to anybody.
Oh no. You must have some sort of unfinished business or something you need to take care of.
I don't know what in the world you would do with those diaries. Except maybe pick out certain, maybe prices or events or anything. But it doesn't matter if they get scrapped, because they will just go in the rubbish anyway. Kay still has 2 of them at home that she's been going through. She's been reading all of them from the beginning. I told her it's not worthwhile to read them, but she's found some interesting things in there. Like when the Ronies had their fire that destroyed all their barn and everything. She remembers that. But as I say, she will bring those 2. I don't know what year they are. But she'll bring them back. Whatever you can find in them regarding the Historic Society would be interesting. There are a number of names listed that I've almost forgotten that came and helped with roofing and things like that. And names of people that were president of the Historic Society different times. Like Ralph. He was with the bank.
Ralph Magnol? Was it Ralph Magnol?
Yeah. Yeah, he was president for a while. And Jerome Praska was president for a while, I think. I think it was the husband to this Praska that's in here now. Anyway, I don't know if they're important to be listed or not. But each one put in their share of work. So that's why you and Marianne have such a wonderful place over there. And what's his name now?
Clay.
Clay.
Well, don't you worry, because as soon as it gets nice out and it gets warm out, you're coming to the museum. Mm-hmm. We're taking you through again.
Yeah. I'll look forward to that. It'll be changed in a way, but it'll be better, I'm sure.
Well, I hope when you get the chance to see it that you'll be happy.
I'm sure we will. It started really in the 70s, and we didn't have a place to put anything until the 90s. So up until that time it was just meetings and finally getting a few things in the park. But it takes people to keep it going.
Mm-hmm. People and their time and their energy. So, what makes you upset? Is there anything when you're watching the news at night that you wish you could change?
No, I won't say that I want any changes. Just for me. Because I guess they try to please everybody. How about you? Do you have this time off?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm not working today.
Oh, you have one day that you don't work?
I have one day.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't worth your while to come over.
Oh, no. No, I wanted to come and see you.
Well, it's not much fun to be over 100 years old. You wonder why the Lord keeps us so long. Maybe I'll find out. Surely your generation will reach 100 and over with no problems.
You never know. You never know how much time you have until it gets taken away. Well, I think I have just one more question for you. What's your secret to your long life?
I guess there's no secret. No secret. It's something to ponder why some are left so long and others are taken so young. I'll find out when I get to heaven.
You know, I think that's probably the best answer I've heard.
Thank you, Dane, for coming.
Well, thank you for letting me
for
interview
being
you.
interested.